Thoughts have people, not people having ideas. Carl Jung thought that knowing your personality type could help you become more self-aware and grow as a person. Have you ever thought that the way you think doesn't quite match what other people think of you? If you naturally act on your feelings, someone may have told you to be more reasonable. If you see meaning where others don't, they may have called you too sensitive. Your mind is working in a certain way right now, whether you are aware of it or not. This way determines how you think, how you make choices, and how you interact with the world. Jung thought that people could be put into one of four basic groups: thinkers, feelers, receivers, and intuitives. Thinkers, the logical and structured brains that make sense of things. Feelers are people who are emotionally driven by relationships, beliefs, and meaning. Sensors, the realist's feet are firmly planted in the real world. Visionaries are intuitive people who are always looking for hidden links and new ways to make the future happen. What if you've been living under the wrong type your whole life? You might think you know which one you are. Think about it. You've been taught to think a certain way since you were a kid. Parents, school, and society all push you to do some things and told you not to do others. Because you were very smart, you might have been told to connect with your feelings more. If you were feeling sad, someone may have told you to calm down. You might have been called a dreamer if you lived in your mind. They might have said you were too rigid if you paid attention to details. From the time you were born, you were made, molded, and trained to meet a certain need. However, here's the catch. What if that assumption was never really yours? Jung thought that most people never bother to think about how they see the world. They think their point of view is the only one that matters. But knowing your main function isn't just about being aware of yourself. It's also about getting stronger. Because you can finally take charge of your life once you understand your mind. But no one tells you this. Your main personality trait isn't the only thing that matters about you. Under the surface, in the deep of your mind, there is something much more important. Something that could explain why you've always felt like something was missing. Figuring out how you think is one thing. Figuring out what you've been missing your whole life is where real change starts. Now let's start. What kind are you? Because it has already changed everything about you, even if you don't know it. There is something even more basic that we need to talk about before we get into the four core personality functions, the attitudes that shape how we use our mental energy. Jung found that people have two main attitudes: introversion, paying attention to one's own thoughts and feelings, deep thinking. Extroversion means being interested in the outside world, in social interactions and excitement from the outside. A lot of people think that being an extrovert means being loud and friendly, while being an introvert means being quiet and shy. However, this is not true. An introvert can be very sure of themselves, but they need time alone to clear their mind and recover. An extrovert can enjoy being alone, but they get more energy from being around other people. Jung thought that neither was better nor worse. They were just different ways of seeing the world. But here's the interesting part. Your personality isn't just about being shy or outgoing. These views lead to something much deeper. The four personality functions, which are the four main ways we make sense of the world. Jung found that everyone has a main way of understanding the world. This was broken down into four parts by him. This is what reasoning and analysis are for: setting priorities, solving problems, and finding objective truth. Feeling is the job of feelings and values, focusing on moral decisions, relationships, and peace. Senses, the function of real things that you can touch, like trusting your five senses and depending on facts and experiences you're having right now. When you use your intuition, you can look beyond the present and find hidden patterns and future prospects. Every person has a main role that shapes how they see the world. Do you know what yours is? Otherwise, have you learned to hide it? Living a life that isn't true to who you are can make you feel more tired than it should. It's possible for choices to feel forced and for exchanges to feel out of place. But once you know your main function, it all makes sense: why you think the way you do, what stresses you out, and what brings you true joy. Jung called this fate. Until you make the unconscious aware, it will run your life. Jung thought that society forces people to be something they are not, so they never fully understand their dominant role. Understanding how you take in information can help you make better choices, improve your relationships, and grow as a person. What do you think? Are you an intuition, a thinker, a feelser, or a sensor? What has made you see and understand the world the way you do? If you want to learn more about Jung's ideas and how they can be used in everyday life, you might want to subscribe. Jung didn't just talk about the four main functions when he talked about personality. Thoughts, feelings, sensations, and instincts can all show up in two different ways. Focused on the outside world, extroversion. Focused on oneself, introversion. This makes 8 different personality types, and each one processes reality in its own way. Figuring these out isn't just about figuring out who you are, it's about seeing how unconscious habits have shaped you. Some people think most of the time in an outgoing way. They like order, efficiency, and results that can be measured. Their minds work like engineers, making sure that everything works as it should and following logic and order. They put faith in tried and true ways over their own feelings. But their need to be efficient can make them ignore their feelings, seeing them as distractions rather than important parts of being human. Their strength is making systems that work, but their failure is not seeing how those systems affect people. Others think more quietly, putting ideas inside their heads and thinking about them in great detail. These people don't just follow the rules. They break them down, questioning every idea until there's only the pure truth left. Unlike extroverted thinkers, they care less about managing the world around them and more about improving what they already know. They might get lost in thinking for hours on end, making sure they fully understand an idea before talking about it. This helps them solve problems very well, but it can also make them seem disconnected or lost. Then there are people who lead with outgoingness. These are the ones whose main goal is harmony, connection, and mental balance. It's almost like they can read a room instinctively, noticing changes in mood before anyone else does. They naturally know what to say to make others feel seen and understood, so they don't have to think about it. Deep empathy can be dangerous, though, because people may get caught up in other people's feelings and forget about their own needs in the name of peace. They do well in jobs that value emotional intelligence, but might feel lost in places that demand cold logic. Introverts, on the other hand, don't look for approval from other people. They live their lives based on an inner moral sense, choosing what feels right instead of what other people think is right. Extroverted feelers adapt to their surroundings, but introverted feelers stay strong and don't give up on their beliefs. Their art and ideas come from their own personal truth, but their strong emotions can make them feel alone. If their values are very different from those around them, they may find it hard to explain themselves and feel like no one understands them. Some people experience the world mostly through outgoing sensations, rather than thinking or feeling. These are the grounded, realistic, hands-on doers. Their whole being is in the present moment, and they are feeling life in all of its colors, textures, tastes, and sounds. They do best in fast-paced places where they can act quickly and effectively. But their attention on the present moment can make it hard to make plans for the future. They may chase thrill after thrill, never stopping to think or reflect. On the other end are introverted sensation types, who see the world through the lens of their own memories and past events. They rely on what they know and have tried before. Tradition, order, and the known bring them comfort. Their brains are like huge archives, remembering things that other people miss. Even though they are trustworthy, they often don't want to change and hold on to the past, even as the world goes on. Next are the outgoing intuitives, who live in a world full of possibilities. They are always coming up with new ideas, looking for inventions, and making new connections. They jump from one idea to the next because they are curious about what's just over the horizon. As new ideas pull them in different ways, their energy can get all over the place, leaving projects unfinished. Their task is to learn how to make their dreams come true. Finally, intuitives who are shy and quiet work like slow-burning fires. They are powerful, quiet, and very wise. They have sudden realizations that seem to come out of nowhere, but are really the result of their mind noticing patterns. They have a sense of where the world is going and often see things that come true. But because they think about things in their own minds, they might find it hard to explain their conclusions, which could leave other people amazed or confused. All 8 of these types show a different way of connecting with the world. Nobody is just one type. Jung thought that each person has a dominant function, which is the one they depend on the most. This function develops early in life and shapes how they see the world. But we also have processes that aren't as strong that run in the background. The key to balance is in our weaker function, the part of us that we often try to hide. Lack of attention to parts of ourselves can cause a lot of problems, not our main type. For instance, a strong thinker might not pay attention to their feelings, and a feeling type might not pay attention to logic. Jung says that the point is not to change who you are, but to become more of who you are. Integrating all of your skills, weaknesses, and hidden parts is a key part of real psychological growth. This helps you become a complete, authentic person. Individualization is the process of becoming more aware of yourself, not getting better at yourself. You have to face and accept all of your parts, including the feelings you've been burying, the creative ideas you've forgotten, and the goals you think are dangerous. Strength and weakness, reason and feeling, and planning and acting on the spur of the moment are not enemies. They are all parts of the same whole. Individualization isn't easy because the mind doesn't like change, and society usually rewards people who fit in. But it's about finding peace within. When someone finishes this process, they don't just act intellectually or emotionally. They know when to use both. They don't just go with their gut or follow order. They know that both are useful and can switch between them easily. Most people's lives are broken up, with parts of themselves they haven't learned to accept. When someone fully individuates, they reach a rare state of inner clarity where their actions, feelings, and thoughts all line up. This is not because they are perfect, but because they are real. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Most people never get to this point because they live by their standards, fight their instincts, and don't pay attention to the bigger forces that are shaping their lives. But individuation is possible for anyone who wants to look inside. You're already on the right track if this movie made you think about how you think, feel, or understand the world. For more in-depth reading, try Jung's psychological types, Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra, or Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. All of them have different views on how to find out more about yourself. Also, if you like this conversation, think about joining. These thoughts are just the start. There's a lot more to find. The first thing we asked was, who are you? But as we've seen, the truth is complicated, has many parts, and is always changing. Your personality isn't just one thing, one way of thinking, or a set of rigid rules. There are strengths, flaws, and hidden parts that are constantly interacting with each other. The writings of Carl Jung tell us that growth isn't about picking between reason and feeling, intuition and structure. It's about learning to bring together all of yourself, the known and the unknown, the conscious and the unconscious. Individualization isn't about changing into a different person. It's about accepting the true self that you've always been. One last question for you. What part of your personality are you going to look into next?